What's up, guys? I'm here with Vincent Fisher. Nice to meet you, bro.
Yes, sir. My man.
So we only met officially like 2 days ago. I saw he was coming to Dubai, so we had to link up. But yeah, bro, give a little introduction as to who you are, how you got started in business, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so for those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Vincent Fisher. You guys may have seen like a before and after online, but I do fitness content primarily. And I'm big on the gym scene and the coaching space. But one thing I noticed about Dubai, bro, is the hospitality. I met this dude like 3 days ago. You know what I mean? He's like, yo, Vince, what car do you want when you're out here? I'm like, bro, same thing. When you come out to Miami, I'm like, what car do you want, bro? I'll let you drive any one. Guys, I need you to understand that you have to surround yourself with successful people. Like me and Hassan are in a similar industry, which is info. I'm in the fitness niche. And you know, my story is I went from a skinny broke high school dropout to an online coaching millionaire in under 3 years. And I was asking you earlier, but explain to the people, like, what's your industry, bro?
Yeah, so I'm in info now as well. I help other people monetize their audiences, but I started off in door-to-door sales.
Okay.
So a lot of people have heard me talk about this before, but I was selling boilers. So in America, I think you guys call them water heaters. But the things you have in the kitchen, the big white boxes, something similar to this, but just you keep them in your kitchen, heats up the water. So I was selling boilers and underfloor insulation. And I got started into that because I got kicked out of university for actually getting into a fight. So I thought I need to get into a job because all my friends were still at uni. And I thought to myself, what am I gonna do? So instead of working a job at a supermarket, one of my friends told me, come work this sales job. So I thought, okay, let me work this sales job. So I was just selling boilers and underfloor insulation initially.
That's crazy, bro.
But I always tell people, get into sales.
Yeah.
You know, when I meet people, I say the best thing you can get started with is sales, because when you sell, you learn how to communicate, you learn how to persuade people, you're more confident in yourself, you learn how to handle rejection. So that's what I got started with, door-to-door sales.
Yeah, bro, that's the real world. Like, you know, when you're working a job, it's like I work this many hours, I get paid this amount. You know, they say a salary is a check that they give you to forget your dreams. It's a bribe. Once you enter the sales game, it's like you're in control of your income. That's the only industry where you can wake up and decide how much you want to make. I always tell people, if I had to restart, I'd get a job in sales exactly like you did. I'd learn how to sell the most expensive thing I could sell, and then I'd learn how to sell that for myself. But I want you to talk to people, bro. You started in sales. I started a little bit different. I started with the marketing aspect.
Okay.
Were you working to earn, or were you mainly working to learn?
Great question. So I was completely working to learn. I completely knew that door-to-door sales wasn't going to get me rich. And I knew this just after a few days of me being there, because every time I'd get a sale, my manager or boss, whatever you want to call him, he was just saying, the money's going to come, the money's going to come. And I thought to myself, when is the money going to come? Like, I just knew deep down that the money wasn't going to come. I knew he was just like holding a carrot and he was just trying to, you know, dangle it in front of me. So I just keep working, effectively just making him rich. So for me, I recognized early on that sales was the best way to actually learn skills. And I knew that, initially I was making less money with my sales job than working at a supermarket. Like, I was literally making less than minimum wage. And sometimes when I didn't get a sale, my manager would pay us £75 just to kind of keep us incentivized, like $100, which is literally less than minimum wage. So I knew I was never ever gonna make real money working door-to-door sales, but it was just a way to learn some stuff. But how did you get started? Because for those of you who are watching this, we haven't really spoken too much.
Yeah.
We started talking because on Instagram, I think one of us messaged one of, the other person, and then I knew you were coming to Dubai, and I was just like, and that was it.
Yeah.
So how did you get started when you say marketing?
Man, I say the main thing is I didn't plan on becoming a millionaire marketer or anything like that. You know, same exact thing. I was a normal high school student, right? I was sitting behind a desk. I was doing useless ass worksheets, right? My dad had passed away when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I remember the day after my dad died, bro, they hand me a worksheet and it's like, measure the degree of this triangle. I was like, why the fuck do I need to know this shit? I feel like that trauma created curiosity. And I just got a depressing feeling where I was like, if I have to sit behind a desk my entire life, I'm going to shoot myself in the head. So I dropped out of high school, probably, this is 16, 17.
Yeah.
You know, mom was crying. She's like, Vincent, what are you going to do? This, that. You need to get a good job. What would your dad want you to do? And it wasn't that I had a plan. It wasn't that I knew I was going to become a millionaire. It was just, I knew that I was going to kill myself. So for me, it was either get rich or end up homeless. And obviously we're here right now on the pond with a dope ass view. But how I got into marketing, bro, I had this fitness transformation. Mom kicked me out at the time and she's like, Vince, you're not getting a job, you're not going to school, you have to stay with your brothers, right? I stayed with them, they were gym bros. They're like, yo, Vince, get in the gym with us. Yo, take pre-workout. Here's mass gainer. I was a skinny anorexic kid. And bro, within the first like 6 months, I probably put on like 30 pounds or so. And I started uploading before and afters online just for the fun part of it. Like I wasn't thinking about money at the time, but I had such an influx of questions of like, yo, how do I get in shape, bro? How do I do what you're doing, bro? How'd you bulk up? And I was like, okay, let me drop like a low ticket fitness program. It was like 20 bucks at the time. And I started getting these $20 sales just racking in. And I was like, yo, I'm balling. You know what I mean? At the time, because I wasn't making any money, me going and seeing these $20 sales, I felt like El Chapo, bro. And I guess the ball never stopped rolling where I just wanted more and more. I learned about high ticket coaching. I constantly reinvested into mentors, and then here we are today.
100%.
But yeah,
we have a similar story. I was just going to say, I'm not sure if you know this about me, but my dad passed away when I was 17.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, guys, for those of you watching this, if you're going through something tough, maybe you lost a parent, or you lost someone in your life, it's only going to make you stronger. You have to just sit there and think, okay, this is my destiny. This is what God wanted, and you just have to keep going. But yeah, I lost my dad at 17 from cancer. How did you lose your dad?
Yeah, my dad, it was the same exact thing. He had a bunch of things, bro. Cancer, kidney failure, heart attack, it all stacked up. But yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit, bro, because I didn't know that about you, bro. But I would say that's the number one thing that made me who I am.
Yeah.
At the time when my dad passed, bro, I believed in God before, and I thought God betrayed me. You know what I mean? I was like, if there is a God, why would he take my dad from me at this time?
Interesting.
And I just remember there was so much anger. I was just like pure rage, pure anger of why me? And then eventually, over time, now we both realize that that's for a reason. Even though it was the most painful thing that could have happened, that was for a reason, because with every test, there's a testimony. So I see so many young men that lose a parent, bro, and they'll be like, well, I can't be successful because I didn't have a dad growing up. But on the flip side, there's people like us sitting on the palm right now going, okay, my dad passed away, but I used that obstacle to make me stronger.
For sure.
Explain that mentality, bro.
For me, 100% just gave me way more urgency. My dad died when he was 55. I'm 25 right now. So
bro,
I remember thinking, was your dad 55?
55, bro. Yeah.
Crazy.
Same exact shit.
But yeah, I remember I thought to myself, okay, at the time I was 17, I was like, okay, if I'm going to die at 55, I have 38 years left. I was like, that's not many years left. It was like, that's 38 summers, 38 winters. Like, it's really not that much time, because, when you tell people, like, if you tell people you're going to die at 55, it puts a time limit on it. It puts a deadline on it. So you can kind of work backwards and think, okay, I got to actually get moving. But when you kind of don't really think about when you're going to die, you just think, oh, one day I'm going to die. You kind of just move slowly through life. You have no urgency. But if you knew you were going to die at 55, you'd move with so much more urgency. So sometimes I tell myself, I'm going to die at 55 or 60. And then I can kind of work backwards and be like, okay, I literally have 30 years. It's not long to have kids, to travel the world, to become super rich, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, bro, that's crazy. I mean, when you put it into that perspective too, I've thought about this too. I was like, yeah, my dad was 55 at the time. You got to think, you're 25, right? I just turned 22.
Yep.
Bro, that means we're damn near halfway through our lives, bro. Halfway through. But so many guys, they use the excuse of, you're young, you have time, bro, and, take it easy, you'll figure it out. No, bro. It's like you need to start taking action and doing something now, What
I will say, though, is about that halfway point. I've made this point before to my network. I've said to them, like, the first 16 years of your life, you're not really fully even conscious. You have no real free will of what you're doing with your life. You kind of just follow your orders from your parents and all that kind of stuff. So even though we're kind of halfway through our life in terms of biologically this age, in terms of like our real lives, we've just started, because I really tell people your life only starts when you actually start making money.
Yeah.
Like, we're both millionaires now, both multi-millionaires. Like, your life starts really when you're a multi-millionaire. That's kind of how I see it. So in my opinion, we've just started our life.
Yeah.
But maybe that's cope.
No, 100%, bro. I always think too, like, you got to think, if you're successful at a young age, even if you're stacking small wins, let's say you're at 5,000, 10,000 a month, it's like you just gained a higher level of consciousness, because the first 18 years you were a dumbass, bro. You know what I mean? And then the next few years after that, when you start seeing success, what I've seen is it just keeps growing and growing. A lot of people will say, like, a lot of people, especially in America, have limited beliefs. They'll start making money and they'll go, make sure you protect and make sure you hoard, because you don't know when it's going to end. One thing I've seen just leaving the US and getting to places like Dubai and outside the world is there's such an abundant mentality of continuous growth. You see so many higher level sharks that you're just like, oh, I'm not doing shit. I'm not thinking about failure. Like, when I'm out here, I'm not thinking about failing or backtracking. I'm thinking there's so many more successful people, and I need to get in their shoes too. It's a belief game at the end of the day, because so many people, they separate themselves. They'll see a rich dude, there's absolutely zero curiosity, because there's no self-belief. They think it's somebody just far stretched and different from them.
I mean, guys, for everyone watching, listen to this. The other day, I saw Vincent on Instagram. This was like a month ago, I'm sure you remember. I knew you were doing well with Instagram. Instagram is an area of my social media, my personal brand I've never really monetized as much. I've never really focused on IG. It's always been Twitter, YouTube, some other things. And I see you doing well. I messaged you like, how much just for a 15-minute call? Just tell me the price.
Yeah.
And then Vincent's like, oh, don't worry about it, bro. We can do the call. When I come to Dubai, just slide me one of the cars. And I made a voice note about that to my community. I said, this is how rich people move. You know, it's like, imagine just asking for a small amount of money. It's like you can just build a relationship instead, you know? So
Yeah.
I like that. I took something away from that. And I think that's how rich people operate. They always realize there's more to learn. A lot of people have an ego when they start doing well. They think, oh, I don't need to learn from this person. I don't need to learn from that person. I always think to myself, every single person you meet has something they can teach you. Whether it's social media, whether it's monetizing, whether it's funnels, whether it's their morning routine.
Yeah.
Anything, you know, you can learn from.
And yeah, bro, I'll notice that too. Like more successful people are more transactional.
Yeah.
Like lower level people, they're like, bro, you know, I thought it was out of love, bro. Hook me up one time and this, that. They're just taking and not giving.
Yeah.
You know, successful people understand that as you sow, you'll reap. So if you do good and you're a value to people's lives, you know, in return, they're going to give you value as well.
Sure.
And that's just a principle that I always live by before the money. You know, it's like, I always say all of my friends buy from me though. You know what I mean? Like my friends that I have, like they'll buy my program, I'll buy their shit. You know, this dude has an ad tracking sheet, boom, I'm buying that. It just keeps the ball rolling. It's like, you need friends that are beneficial to your life. If your friends are like, yo, bro, when's the next party, bro? Let's get a fix of some weed, this, that. Bro, I mean, if you hang around 5 bums, you're probably not gonna end up a millionaire.
For sure.
You know what I mean? I always say that, bro. So I want you to talk about how'd you go from door to door to where you're at now?
100%. So when I was doing door-to-door, I realized I was never going to actually make some money. So the first thing I thought to myself, well, the first thing I did was to start searching online, like how do you actually make money? How do you become rich? How do you actually level up? And everyone was saying you have to delegate, you have to hire people, you have to outsource things. I thought to myself, okay, well, it's just me at the moment knocking on doors. If I'm not knocking on doors, I'm not going to make any money. So I thought I need some people knocking on doors for me. So that's kind of how the idea started. Well, originally the idea started because with boilers, what you have is you have the surveyors and you have the installers of the boiler. So the surveyors are the ones who basically check the property, make sure the boilers can actually be installed on the property. And I was speaking to them and they were kind of asking me how much I'm getting paid, and they realized, well, they basically let me know I was getting massively fucked over. So that's kind of when my brain started turning. I was like, okay, like, you know, this is why my manager or my boss lets me get away with some stuff and I turn up late and he's okay with it, because I'm making him so much money. I'm making, let's say, £100, £150 per sale. He's making like 3K, 4K per sale. I was like, all right, I'm kind of getting fucked over here. So I thought I need people to knock on doors for me. So that's kind of how I started in business. That's how I made my first 200K. Just I had people knock on doors for me. So I had a sales team in England. And then I started traveling the world. I was in Miami for a long time, meeting other people. I knew if I want to enter the online space, I need to meet other people. So I was making money with my door-to-door sales team. And one of my friends that I met online actually told me, bro, you need to get on Twitter. So I started tweeting, built a little bit of a following, which massively shot up when I went to Miami. So anyone trying to build a personal brand, I couldn't recommend it enough. Miami is definitely the best spot. I instantly grew when I was in Miami. But yeah, I started selling sales consultations as well. That was like really my first bit of online money besides affiliating. I did a bit of affiliating. Maybe that's another story. But my real first online money came from selling sales consultations because people saw me live a good life. With my, I was making money with my sales team, and I thought to myself, okay, let me sell sales mentorship. So I was helping people with sales, and that was it. But just through Twitter at the start, bro. I had like 2K followers, and I was making money.
Hell yeah, bro. I don't know if that's a genetic trait or what it is, or a personality trait, but every successful person's like that. You know, like in school, I'd have the smart kids do my homework. I'd sauce them a snack or some change. Like, you know, when I was like 8 years old, bro, I'd go door to door and sell like these rubber band bracelets, bro. I'd have my cousin sell for me. Now, I was more introverted. I was like, bro, you do the sales, we'll split 50-50. That's really all business is on a higher scale. When I first bought my Lambo, bro, I was in Miami. I went to a supercar Saturday. I expected to see a bunch of hardworking rich people on their phones and taking calls. Bro, I go there, everybody's like, yeah, let's ride down to this place. Yeah, then come back to my spot after, bro. You want to check out these watches? I was like, these people aren't even working. And it's what you said, bro. It's delegation. It's like, there's a quote from, I think it was John D. Rockefeller, and it says—
I saw you talk about this.
It says, I'd rather get 1% of 100 men's efforts than 100% of my own efforts. And I thought about that quote, and I was like, that's how business works. I made my first 100,000 just me in phone calls. You know, 100,000 a month, I mean. And, you know, I'm selling fitness programs at the time. I got a 2K price point. It was me on the phone calls all day, like sun sun up to sundown, and it's mathematical. It's like 2K if I'm pitching enough people, boom, 50K, 100,000 a month. But I got to a point where there was a burnout. I knew if I wanted to scale past 100,000 a month and live a higher quality of life, I had to replace myself. So one thing that people get stuck on too is they don't want to, like lower level people, they don't want to delegate something because somebody won't do it as good as them.
For sure.
I look for 80% efficiency.
Yeah.
If you can do something 80% as efficient as I can, I'm going to let you do it, because in scale, all the billionaires you see online, the Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musk, they have employees, they have people under them doing the work, and that's why they're rich,
But it's interesting as well. I just want to mention this point that a lot of people watching this, they might think, okay, I need to outsource everything. But I think at the beginning, it's actually very good to do a lot of the work yourself.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure your opinion on this, but for me, I remember I was doing a lot of these sales calls as well, selling these sales consultations. And even with my sales team, I remember I was always the one answering their call. Because I noticed this when I was knocking on doors myself. Whenever I'd call my sales manager and he didn't answer the phone, it made me angry as fuck. I remember thinking, I'm knocking on these doors, making him money. Yeah, I'm making myself money, but he should be the one leading from the front. He should be the one working the hardest. So whenever he didn't answer the phone, I remember how I felt when I was annoyed. And I remember every time he would answer the phone, I'd hear ping pong in the background. Like he was just playing ping pong at the office. Yeah. And I remember thinking, like, I'm out here knocking on the doors in the cold, it's in England, and he's just out here in his office playing ping pong, playing table tennis. I was like, what the fuck? So another point to mention is, if you are going to outsource things, make sure your employees see that you're working the hardest. I think that's very, very important. Yeah. They see you leading from the front. And B, like, don't be in such a rush to outsource things at the beginning, because you get so much experience when you're the one doing everything at the beginning. And I think it's a lot easier to outsource things to other people and tell them how to do things and train them if you've been in the trenches yourself.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for you doing those sales calls, you'd just be less good at sales right now. And that's such an advantage for you now, training your guys, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. Like, what's a good and a bad hire if you've been in the field. And you wouldn't know that if you hadn't. So if I bring somebody on, a sales dude, and he's like, bro, the leads are shit and this, that. I'm like, bro, I was knocking these motherfuckers down. What do you mean the leads are shit? If I hadn't done that myself, I may have brought him in and be like, oh man, what should we fix, bro? And this, that. But yeah, that's super important, bro. Especially in the personal brand and the social media game. I did everything myself. I do every CapCut edit myself, bro. I do every single caption myself. I do the whole back end myself, every single onboard of myself. And then every area of my business, you teach that. I always 100%. Say, like we said before, the principle of not working to earn, but working to learn. If you guys are building a personal brand, you should be doing all the stuff yourself right now. And Hassan, I agree with what you said, until you have no more human hours. Like I told you, remember I was at 100,000 a month and I'm like, this isn't sustainable. Yeah. That's why I'm going to remove myself. Don't get to a place now where you got no sales calls and you're doing no work. Then you're thinking about building a big ass team. That's not being a boss yet. That's being just a big.
Yeah, another mistake people make is they outsource things to other people to then sit doing nothing. It's like, if you're going to outsource things to other people, then double down and focus on the higher ROI tasks. A lot of people outsource things and then they just scroll TikTok. Like, that's not good. I'd rather do all the calls myself. I'd rather do all the meetings myself. I'd rather edit the cap cuts myself. I'd rather do everything myself than sit there and scroll TikTok. That's just a waste of time, in my opinion. That's my philosophy towards business. But if you're going to outsource things, and then you double down on the highest ROI tasks, that's good. Like, let's say right now, Vincent and I are doing this podcast and you have closers doing calls. That's good, because you're focusing on content, which is the highest ROI thing. This is the one thing that no one can replace you. And then a closer, that is a replaceable thing. So I think a lot of people make the mistake of outsourcing things to then do nothing. Yeah. It's important you're still doing something important.
Yeah. Exactly, bro. I've gotten to a point too, this is like 3 years down the line, bro. I don't even like doing day-to-day repetitive stuff because I want to focus on business. But, one of the quotes my mentors told me was, don't work in the business, work on the business. I was like, what does that mean? I'm taking calls all day, doing everything myself. I'm like, what does working on the business mean? And if you're working in the business, you have no time to even think about what to work on. So the first thing I did was remove myself from everything, bro. When I'm at home, bro, I don't like driving. I don't know. It's like, you got the Lambos, you got the supercars, you got the Phantom, the SVJ. I don't even like driving my cars, bro, because I want to be on my phone typing. And I'm talking to my sales manager, my sales guys. Like you said, they see I'm in the field and active.
Sure.
And I just want to free up my time, bro. I don't know. I always think of life like a game, and I think of this phase like being a tryhard. You ever play video games when you were younger?
Sure.
Bro, I was like a fucking Fortnite tryhard, bro. I had the controller grips on the sticks, bro. I had the PC.
What are those things called? I forgot.
I don't even know, bro.
Scruffs or scuff?
Something like that, bro.
What? Control freaks.
Control freaks, yeah, control freaks, bro. But if you look at life and entrepreneurship like that, bro, you're gonna reach the highest level very fast. So many people, they take it too serious and they don't look at it like a game, and they get pissed off, they get stressed, they get anxious. Bro, just remove yourself and be like, yo, this shit's a video game. What's my next step?
But the point you made at the beginning where you were just talking about doing every task, that's so important, because I remember asking one of my cameramen at the time, I was saying, how long does it take to color grade a photo? And he says it takes 1 minute to color grade a photo. And ever since he told me that, now if I have 10 pictures I want color graded, I know roughly it's going to take 10 or 11 minutes. Whereas if I didn't know that piece of information, then a cameraman could tell me, oh, it's going to take me an hour, I'll get back to you in an hour. So if you know how long each activity or task takes, you get finessed way less times, you know what's going on, and you can outsource things properly. And you can force the pace properly. You can call people like, all right, this should be done by now, it's been half an hour, this should take 10 minutes. So for me, that's game changing. Like, try and understand every part of your business. Even if you know you're never gonna do that task yourself long term, just to experience it, just to taste it, I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Like, even, it could be something so simple like uploading content onto a Google Drive, just knowing, okay, this is how we're gonna store the content in this folder, in this folder. It's game changing, because then when you outsource things, you can tell them exactly how you want things.
Yeah.
So I think that's game changing.
That's awesome, bro. I think that's especially efficient for if you're past 100,000 a month plus, bro. Because I feel like that was the next level for me in scaling. Is I wasn't doing any type of tracking before. People would tell me, Vince, how does your business work? I'm like, I don't know. We get people in, we pitch them, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then when I dialed in every little thing, bro, like show up rate, fucking close rate, you know, all the boring shit that you don't want to learn, like, you know, 1 minute per video. Nobody wants to really know that. But what you're saying is super important, because you know how to scale from there, because you know where you're at.
You got to know your numbers, and door-to-door is exactly that.
Yeah.
If we know every 25 doors is roughly a sale, then it's just like you don't get emotionally affected every rejection. So for me, this was huge. Just like, I'll be knocking on doors like, this is my sale. You know, I'll be super excited, I'd knock on the door and I'd get rejected. I was like, fuck. You know, it'd ruin my whole mood, and I'll be like, what's the point of even doing this? Because with commission, you can knock on another 10 doors and all that effort was for nothing. Because then it's like you go home, you've made no sale.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking to myself, I got to create a system where it's like every door is basically equal. I'm as excited to knock on every door. So I just told myself, okay, if a sale on average is £150 and every 25 doors is a sale, I'll tell myself, all right, each door is £6, like $8. And then I wouldn't give a fuck if I got rejected or not, because it's just, I'm playing the numbers game. Yeah. It's the same thing with social media. I've done like 40,000 tweets. You know, it's like I made millions just through Twitter alone, because each tweet is almost worth this much money. I'm not sat there like, oh my God, this tweet has to go viral or I'm a loser. Like, it doesn't matter.
Bro, that's awesome. I did the same exact thing, bro. I mapped out like my, you know, cost per CTA, or like how much I would make per CTA.
Is it like you on a story saying,
yeah, this was when I was at 100,000 a month. Now we're scraping like 500 plus. But when I was at 100,000 a month, I mapped it out to $2,000 every CTA.
Nice.
And like you're saying too, it's like when you post one that doesn't get replies, you're not tripping too much.
Sure,
you know, if I keep dropping these, I'm gonna get sales. Bro, one thing that especially helped me with recently was more so chargebacks, refunds, etc. You know, like a refund process being tracked. I heard a reel from Jeff Bezos. And he's like, we track, if we sell 10 products, 2 people are gonna complain and wanna return it. I wasn't tracking that in my business before. So when I'd get like a refund request, I'd get absolutely pissed. It'd mess up my whole day. I'd be like, why the fuck did this dude refund this, that? Now that I know that statistic as well, it'll happen, I'm like,
this is such good advice. Like that one thing alone is worth the whole podcast to listen to, because the exact same thing happened to me at the beginning. Then when I worked out, it was like 0.2% or whatever percentage of people refunded or something. I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter. You know, 1 in a few hundred people who buy it just doesn't emotionally affect you anymore. And I think that's the biggest thing. As long as like L's don't emotionally affect you, then you're unstoppable. You know, because I completely relate to that. I think most people watching this at home, they have the exact same problem. They make a story on Instagram, they write a tweet, they write an email, they do a YouTube video, and it doesn't get many views. And they're like, nah, we should never do podcasts again, fuck podcasts. Whereas like if this video gets 1,000 views, I'm chill. Like, this has been a good conversation. You know? So it just doesn't matter.
And a lot of people, they don't understand volume. Like we talked about this before the podcast, but he just said he did 40,000 tweets. 40,000. You know what I mean? I uploaded my before and after when I was doing fitness thousands of times, to where people were like, bro, I've seen these clips more than I've seen my parents. You know, like you guys need to be spamming as well, because a lot of you guys don't have enough data to know what works
100%.
and what doesn't work. I've even measured it to the detail too. You know, when I was at 100,000 a month, the reason I give this example is such a simple number. 100,000 a month, I'd map out if I do 3 CTAs a day, that leads to 100,000 a month. I don't know how it mapped out, but I was like 3 CTAs a day ends up leading to this. After I tracked my, profit per CTA and then I started doing them, I'm like, oh shit, I just need to put the work in. It's the same thing with working out. Like I always tell people, the same principles that you use to get in shape, you can use to get rich. It's like you'll show up to the gym every single day, no matter how you feel, but you'll stop posting if you don't like the result. You know what I mean? So if you apply the same mentality for success, bro, it could be about video games, it could be about fitness, anything, and just take that to business, you're gonna kill it, bro. You know
I remember
what I mean?
one time I told people, like Conor McGregor's a I'm not sure if you've heard me talk about this before, but I was like, Conor McGregor's a billionaire. And I was like, okay, how long did it take him to get to that champ status where he's now like the best fighter in the world? Like 10 years. He started at like 18 properly, and then it was 28 when he became the double champion. All right, 10 years. How many times did he train in that year? Maybe 500 times, because 1.5 times a day on average. Okay, so 500 sessions per year times 10 years. How many sessions is that? 10,000 sessions. 10,000 sessions, $1 billion. $1 billion divided by 10,000 sessions, that's like 100 grand per session. Like he literally made like $100,000 per session, but people will look at that and think, no, that's not quite true. If he never did those sessions, he would have never made the $1 billion, because no one would have bought his whiskey, no one would have bought his spray, his like, has this like tidal spray thing. You know, so it's just like, you have to just look at it as a numbers game. Like every time he was 19, 20, 21, training, and he couldn't be asked to go for the second time that day, he was literally getting paid 100 grand. It's a crazy way of looking at it. Even now, like this podcast, right now it might be worth this much. But in 8 years' time, people will still be watching this video, as both of us are much bigger. This morning I was in the gym, I was listening to something from Grant Cardone. The podcast was filmed 8 years ago.
Damn.
It's just like, you still get paid for your actions years later.
And that goes back to the principle. You know, the people that are remembered now are like the Stoics and the Greek gods, etc. The people that were writing scripture. Now we got content, bro.
Yeah.
Like this shit's never gonna disappear. So my mind goes outside of money. It's like legacy. I want to leave such a digital footprint to where people have something to look back on. There's never been a philosopher since the beginning of history that had 2 things written. It just didn't happen, you know what I mean? So you guys need to keep producing, keep creating. But I think what you said earlier, it falls under the core principle that everybody wants the end result. Nobody wants to do the work required. You know, that the glorified thing is the shiny diamond, the success, etc. Nobody wants to take the steps. Everybody wants to get to the top. Nobody wants to climb.
That's I think for me it's easy because, sorry for cutting you off.
No, go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say, for me, I think I genuinely like helping people. Like on my Telegram channel, I have at the moment 7,000 voice notes. So it's like whenever I'm driving, you know, you're just saying you don't like driving because you could be texting. For me, the reason why I like driving, because I can just do a voice note at the same time. Sure, I can't text. I'll do a voice note. I'll call my mom. I'll do all the activities which require voice. You know, because you can't properly focus on work. So if I'm on the toilet, I can just bang out a voice note. If I'm in the Uber, I'll bang out a voice note. If I'm waiting in a restaurant, I could write something. You know, I'll write a tweet. The reason why I have 40,000 tweets is because whenever I was in a restaurant or in the Uber, I was just writing a tweet. You know, or maybe I'd finish this podcast, I'd write 2 tweets. Like, guys, business is just a numbers game, or just did a podcast with Vince, it's gonna be sick, or take a picture with this view. You know, people overthink so much, like, I'm not sure if I should post this, or people are gonna judge me. It's like, bro, it doesn't matter. You know, I have a friend who's in super good shape back at home. He's like 105 kilos, jacked, lean, he's just a tank. He's been training since like 5 years old. And then I have another friend who's maybe like 70 kilograms, and he's also in great shape, and he has like 150K followers on IG. This friend, the one who's 105, he's in better shape, been training his whole life. And he doesn't post content because he's worried like he has to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, like a lot of people get into their own mind and they stop themselves from posting. Even though they have the ability, they have the talent, they can help people. They think they have to be perfect. What would you say to those people who think they always have to be perfect?
I'd say, you know, most people don't get started because they want perfection over progression, but perfection can't be found without progression. You have to start something to be horrible at it. You know, I think Alex Hormozi calls it like the ignorance curve, the learning curve, etc. Right? You have to do something to be horrible. I'm sure my first few videos I posted were absolutely ass. And then over time, I kept improving. I think one of the things, you know, most people don't do as well, they don't improve. They don't look back at their posts and go, how can I make this better? You know, they just keep posting mindlessly, post. But you have to have, I guess, the perspicacity to go, okay, this is why this video did better than that video. That video did better than this one because of this. It's like, you got to look at life like a chess game. But bro, I want to ask you, what would you say to the person that sees us? You know, we're on the Palm, you got the Richard Mille on, right? They see the life and they're like, well, I don't have that life. I can't post right now.
Doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter. Like, if I could go back in time and document and show people my sales team, or show people me knocking on doors and saying to them, yo guys, like, I don't have my phone on me right now, but this is literally how I do it. I'll get this. I was like, yo guys, just knocked on another door, got rejected, this fucking sucks, but in 3 years when I'm a millionaire, you guys are gonna watch this video and be inspired, blah, blah, blah. Like that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Think about how hard that edit would go.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's just like, do it for the edit.
Yeah,
you know,
bro.
so it's just like, you gotta just post more. And also, people don't want you to be perfect. Like I'm not perfect, there's loads of areas in my life I can improve. I'm sure there's areas you can improve as well. Like we're not claiming to be perfect. So people don't want you to be perfect. They just want you to be real and just show them like, this is where I'm at. You know, and I can help you with what I know. Like there's a lot of you watching this who can help people get in better shape, or you can help people with their nutrition, or you can help people with sales. Like I was selling sales consultations initially on Twitter. I wasn't claiming I was a business tycoon. You know, it's just people would ask me, how would I live this life? And I was saying, I can help you with sales. And whenever people would meet me, they were like, bro, you're confident or whatever. I was like, okay, I'll help you with sales.
Yeah.
You know, I remember I was in Miami and some dude found me from Twitter. And long story short, I met him in person and sold him a 10 grand mentorship. I was just like, bro, I'll help you, blah, blah, blah. You know, and there's nothing more fun than helping people and getting paid at the same time.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I think of fitness when you say that, bro. I was never the most jacked dude in the world. You know, I had a decent transformation, but I was still making more money than a lot of the bodybuilders, bro, because I was able to post to market.
For sure.
And they would hate. You know, they go, this dude's not a bodybuilder, though. I've been training for 10 years and this, that. I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, same thing. I'm not claiming to be an IFBB pro bodybuilder. I help people get in shape. You know, it's that simple. So no matter what area you're at, you can start making progress right now. I used to think, especially early on in my social media journey, I had the same mentality. I was like, I don't have the nicest camera, I'm not gonna start. I don't have the newest iPhone, I'm not gonna start. Doesn't matter at all. I bought all those things, bro. And then I had all the things and I was like, fuck, I don't have the skill set though. So you guys just need to start with the resources you have, and as you improve, more resources will be given. That's my #1 favorite quote from Marcus Aurelius, bro.
Yeah, there's like a saying I remember when I was in school in England, we were playing cricket, and we'd always make fun of those guys who had all the gear, no idea. We'd say, that guy has all the gear, no idea. And he had the best shin pads, or whatever you call them, whatever they're called in cricket, I forgot. The best bat, the best helmet, the best everything, the best gloves. And it's like they had all the gear, but they didn't know how to play cricket. They had no idea how to actually play the game. And it's just like the same thing with content. We have a nice camera now, but it doesn't matter. If we film this with an iPhone, I'm sure it'd get roughly the same views. You know, it's like, sure, buy a microphone, but microphones are cheap. As long as you have the will to win, you'll succeed. And my favorite quote ever is from Napoleon. He says, the moral is to the physical as 3 is to 1. This is my favorite quote ever, because it means your will and hunger and determination to win is 3 times more important than your physical reality. Like right now, I could be 100 grand in debt. I could have nothing, no watch. I have 7 supercars. I could have no supercars, no Dubai. You could be not in Miami. You could put us in right now a shithole. But as long as we have the same mindset we have now, we'll lap people.
Yeah.
Because we'll work harder. You know, we'll find the nicest place to record a video from in Utopia.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll make it work.
It
doesn't matter which camera you have and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's the success principle, bro. Optimism. You know, no matter where I was at in life, bro, I did all the stuff you were talking about, bro. I'd make videos, guys, you know, I'm broke right now, bro. I'm gonna be a millionaire in 3 years.
Nice.
Bro, I have videos, I mean, I'll make a pop-up on the screen. But
you should post more of them.
Yeah, literally broke as shit, bro. Skinny as hell, no beard. You know what I mean? Like I was like, guys, I'm gonna be a millionaire. Watch. I didn't even know how to speak really well. But I did it for the edit, like you were saying. You know what I mean? I was like, I know this is gonna make a crazy ass before and after, and that ties back to belief. I wanna ask you, bro, where did you get your self-belief and optimism from?
Yeah, good question, good question. I think for me, man, it honestly was genetic. I know it's kind of a boring answer, but it's just I kind of had it as a kid. But yeah, my dad kind of instilled that into me. My dad was always telling me, work hard, work hard, work hard. So many different stories and examples, you know, that my dad taught me over the years that kind of really instilled this mindset. But it was definitely my dad, and just naturally, I guess I have it. One example that really, really stood out to me was when I was a kid, I was a big, big football fan. So for you guys in America, soccer.
Yeah.
Big football fan. This was 2008. The Champions League final was on. Chelsea versus Manchester United. And I was so excited for this final. I was like, I have to watch this. It's like the best day ever, you know, for me as a football fan. And my mom and dad told me, you're not watching this game. You have to study for this exam. It was like a religious education exam. I was like 8. Like the exam did not matter. You know, and my mom was like, you're not watching. I was like, Mom, please, please. Like I was going to start crying. I was like, I have to watch this. You don't understand. She's like, nope, you're not watching it. So my dad and my brother watched the game in the living room, and I had to study in the kitchen with my mom. Long story short, I did the exam. I got 100% on the exam. I was the only kid in the whole class who got 100%. And I remember it 17 years later. I'm 25 now. I remember thinking to myself, like, it's crazy that one evening, that one story just did so much for my mentality. Because I put in the work. I guarantee every other kid watched that final. But I was studying for this bullshit exam that meant nothing. And it's like God taught me a valuable lesson. It's like, if you put in the work, cause and effect, you're going to get the results. And there's been a million different examples of my life where I've worked hard. it's paid off. I've not worked hard, it's not paid off.
Yeah.
That's it, man. So my dad, for sure.
Yeah, bro. I think it's the same thing. I think it was dad and mom. My mom would tell me, Vincent, you could have it. My mom would tell me, Vincent, you could have anything you want.
Nice.
But then I'd ask to go out to eat. She'd be like, no, we can't right now. That stuff's not for us, and et cetera.
Wow,
so it was a little bit contradicting, right? So I believe this, but I saw my mom was held back by, beliefs, because my mom's a woman, right? My dad, same thing. I watched my dad build a house, bro. In 2008, there was a real estate crash in the U.S., bro. It just got wiped out. And then I watched him have to sell the house, have medical bills, et cetera. But I saw him fight until the end. You know what I mean? It's like I told you, boom, first it was like a kidney thing. Hospital, he'd get back out. Then it was like a heart attack. Boom, hospital, he'd get back out. Then it was a stroke. Boom, hospital, he'd get back out. Then it was a damn brain aneurysm. He had all these things stacked on him, and I saw him fight till the last day. So that was what helped me realize, damn, I'm gonna do the same thing with my life. And none of the principles, I don't know if you had this too, none of the principles my dad told me resonated until he passed. Before he passed, I was very ignorant. I was like, it doesn't matter, Dad, leave me alone, this, that. No hug, no, I'm good. And then after I got very curious, like I said, I remembered every little quote, I remembered every little lesson that he gave me, and I used that to succeed, bro.
I mean, you were a bit younger, you were 8, right?
Yeah.
How was that at 8? Because I was 17, my brother was 15, you were 8. Like 8's a lot younger. Like at 8, are you fully conscious of what death means?
I'd say 8 is like a peak time, bro. And I think it's scientific too, because at that time your dad really is like your superhero. You haven't neglected, you haven't rebelled yet where you're like, I don't want to be around. No, it was like, bro, I watched my superhero just pass away, bro. I remember like night and day, bro. I just woke up. We were in our apartment after he had to sell the house. He had health issues. There's ambulance in the whole place, bro. And I see him being walked out on a stretcher, bro. And I woke up, I was like, what's going on? One of the firemen, he sat by my bed and he's like, hey, listen, kid, your dad's in the hospital right now, this, that, but you're going to be good. Your mom's going to pick you up, et cetera. I was like, what's going on? You know what I mean? And I wasn't consciously aware of death at all. No, I never experienced anything like that. And I watched my dad bounce back so many times. I was like, he's good. And then I'd visit him a few times in the hospital. My mom would say, hey, Vincent, you want to come back and see him again? I was like, I'll see him again. And then I remember one of those times, my mom sits me down. She's like, your dad passed away.
Wow, yeah.
And it didn't resonate at all. I was like, what does that mean? Like, you have a trauma, they say the first step is acceptance. I hadn't even accepted it. I was like, wait, what do you mean passed away? Like, it didn't even hit yet. And then I walked to my room and I remember thinking, oh shit, I'm never gonna see him again.
Yeah.
And then that's when the tears rolled in and I was like, damn, okay. And that was the most traumatic thing that ever happened to me. But through that trauma, that created Vincent Fisher, that created the will to win, bro.
100%. That's a great story. Yeah, I remember it was Boxing Day when my dad got rushed to the hospital. So he already had cancer, he defeated it, then the cancer regrew. It was Boxing Day. He died a few days later. But I remember those last few days when I was in hospital with him, his last words to me were like, promise me you work hard. And I remember my last words to him were just like, I promise I'll work hard and I was super like, at that point, because he'd had cancer for a couple of years, but at that point, I was super accepting of the fact that he was gonna die. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of a different situation with you. Like, I knew he was gonna pass. Mm-hmm. But it's never easy. But I remember just telling myself, like, okay, I'm the man of the house now. I've got to take care of my mom and brother. But by that age, I knew I was going to become rich. I don't know why, because I never was that guy, like you said, who was like in school hustling. I was not a hustler in school. I was not the guy like reselling bracelets or some shit. Like, no. I was just that guy like, I watched the Grant Cardone podcast or a Ty Lopez podcast, and I read a couple self-improvement books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be rich. I don't know why I thought that. I wish I could tell you, but I guess the lesson is, if you just have genuine self-confidence, you'll pull it off. And I remember when I was 16, I went to a investment banking course, like seminar type thing. I was 16 with my friend. It was in London at UCL, University College London. And after the seminar, I remember telling my friend, I was like, bro, this is bullshit. They told us we have to work 16, 17 hours a day for the first few years as being an investment banker, sacrifice health, family, everything, just to make 150K a year. I was like, bro, fuck this, like, I'm not doing this. He's like, what else are you gonna do, like, to become rich? I was like, there's something else. He's like, what? I was like, I don't know, but there's something else. I kept telling him, I was getting angry. I was like, bro, there's something else. Like, fuck off for now. I don't know the answer, but I'll get back to you. I was right, there was something else, but bro, it's crazy in school how they indoctrinate you so much into believing that this is the only path to becoming. It's bullshit, man. I get really passionate about that point because so many viewers watching this, you guys don't realize how much your life is just being pulled away from you because of the system. The elites literally manipulate us all.
Yeah, bro. I have a very similar story, bro. My aunt bought me like a lawyer course because I always said I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be a lawyer. I thought, doctor, lawyer, that's how you become successful.
Be rich. Yeah.
And, I was very rebellious. So I'd always argue with my mom. I'd always say, no, I'm not doing this. This is why school doesn't work. And she hit me back with another topic. We'd go back and forth till she's yelling and say, go to your room. She's like, you should be a lawyer. You're good at arguing. And I was like, yeah, that might be a fucking thing I'm gonna do. That might be how I get rich. So my aunt buys me this college course early of like, how to become a lawyer because she was a lawyer. And I go to this college thing and it's not even arguing, it's just reading articles the entire time. And I'm looking around and everybody loves this shit. You're studying and then it's like 5 minutes is the actual trial. I'm like, bro, there's no way in hell I'm doing this shit at all. Yeah. Same exact thing, bro. I was like, I need to find another way. I'm looking around at these other people what look to be successful students, and I'm like, no, I'm different than these people. I don't have the same attention span to sit down and do the same shit. I'm not a robot. You know what I mean? It's like everybody has a moment they wake up.
Yeah.
For me, that was like my dad passing away. But ever since then, bro, I looked at like, you ever look around in class and you're like, yo, are these motherfuckers like, are they paying
real
attention,
people?
bro?
Yeah,
are they real
yeah.
people? Yeah, exactly, bro.
For me, man, I don't know. I feel like when I actually started trying in business and I really went for it in business was when I got kicked out of uni. But when I realized there was more to life, I realized very, very early on when I was a kid. I didn't know how, like I said, but I knew early on. But yeah, when I got kicked out of uni, that was kind of like my sign to really go hard in life because I was like, okay, this was a real big wake-up moment for me though. So in England, I'm not sure how it works in America, but in England you have A-levels. So the final 2 years of schools, you do A-levels. These are like the more serious exams you do. Then I took a gap year after school. Then I had my first year of uni. So the reason why I got kicked out of uni is because I got into a fight in the student union in like Freshers Week. It's like the party stage of uni. Punched someone, 4 of their teeth came out. It was like a big drama. I had to go to court and everything, right? So they didn't kick me out of uni at the start of the year. They waited until the end of the year, then told me for what I did at the beginning of the year. It was bullshit. So they wasted a year of my life. So after I got kicked out of uni, I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4 years wasted to get to this point where I was gonna kind of work towards this degree, and it's all just been taken away from me. I was like, objectively right now, career-wise, I'm a loser. I was like, I gotta do shit. So that's what really just, I remember when I got kicked out of uni, those are dark days. I was very frustrated and annoyed, and I'd see on Snapchat all my friends in parties in uni. I was like, fuck this, bro. I was really pissed.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a period when you were just frustrated at your situation? Or was it always just like a...
The thing is, I was always frustrated before I decided to drop out, bro.
Right.
I have a different story, but similar in some aspects to where I did high school for 3 years. And I think it was either the beginning of my senior year or end of junior year, I just dropped out, bro. So
what is junior year? How old are you?
So pretty much how how US works is freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
Okay.
And I'm 3 years in. I'm junior or senior, one of those two, and I think I'm 17 years old at the time. And I know I could finish. I know I could do the extra 3 months and do the worksheets and then go back and forth and pass. But I wanted to give myself no plan B. I wanted to promise myself that, when I said I'm not going to sit behind this desk my entire life, I'm not going to give myself the option to even get a good job. And that's why I dropped out. And I got that letter, and we were in COVID, so I didn't really drop out. I closed my laptop. Everything's digital. So I remember getting a letter from my school. It's like, hey, you have not passed. You need to report to the office to redo your junior year or something like that. And I took a photo of that. Same thing you said. I don't know why there was always a belief aspect. I knew I'd just end up filthy rich, bro. So I'm documenting all this stuff. I'm making the videos. Guys, I just, dropped out of high school.
Good.
Yeah, and bro, it all turned around because me knowing that I had no other option, that was why I tried so hard, bro. You know what I mean? It's like so many people are 1 foot in, 1 foot out, where they're like, I'm going to try entrepreneurship, but I also can get a job at the same time if I fall back. Bro, if you have a plan B, plan A isn't going to work as efficiently.
Yeah.
That's been my mentality.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, so I'm 25, you're 22, so you're a few years younger. So I feel like with people your age, you grew up more with the phone and TikTok generation and more like, I need to snap everything. I wish I recorded more. Like I have very little videos and pictures when I was younger. Yeah. I wish I got more videos of me in uni. Like, this is bullshit. Because I didn't go to any lectures, basically. I went to, like, in the whole year before I got kicked out. Bro, it's maybe 10 lectures, and I left early every lecture, and I turned up late. Yeah. Because I just knew I always told my mum when I'd go visit her in the week, like, every few weeks I'd go back home to Coventry, I'd visit my mum, and I'd tell my mum, she'd ask me, how's uni? I'd say, Mum, I'm not finishing uni. I just kept saying it. It was like I was, like, manifesting this shit. I kept saying, I'm not finishing uni, I'm not finishing uni, I'm not finishing uni. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, I don't know what I mean, but I just know I'm not finishing. Because I was on the first year and it was a 4-year course. It's like, there's no way I'm doing 3 more years of this shit. Everyone was a bot.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, bro, lecture, lecture. I see kids run to a lecture. Like full-grown dudes running to a lecture. I was like, bro, this is bullshit. I was like, these guys are idiots. I was like,
bro.
I'm smart like academically. I've always been smart academically, but I was like, but I'm also smart in a different way. I was like, these guys are just idiots.
Yeah.
You know, did you have that?
100%, bro. Like all those guys, I'd look at them like idiots too, bro. I'd have arguments with my teachers. They're like, Vincent, what are you gonna do? If you can't listen in class, you're gonna work at Taco Bell. But I always looked at them like idiots. I was like, there's no way for 40 years you've worked this exact same job.
It's crazy.
And are arguing with kids. Like, I don't want that to be my entire life story.
It's crazy.
So it's funny because I actually had straight A's freshman year. Like, straight A's, bro, because I thought school equaled success.
Yeah.
So when I try something, I'm good at it.
For sure.
And then when I started to see a disconnect, I was like, you know what, fuck this shit. This shit isn't leading to anywhere that I want to go. And then obviously I dropped out. But yeah, of course, bro. All of the A+ students, all those guys ended up good workers. They ended up good bots. All the C, D students, bro. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna say all, but there's a certain majority of those people who didn't try on purpose because they knew it wouldn't lead to their end result. They knew grades didn't equal success. And now they run successful businesses, bro. You know what I mean? That's how I think it played out for me. But there's a quote that I always refer back to, and it's that the opposite of courage isn't cowardice, it's conformity. Yeah. Everybody acting like everybody else without knowing why. Why do you go to school? Everybody else goes to school. Why are you getting a job? Everybody else works. You know, they don't even know why they do the things they do. They're like mindless worker ants, right? Yeah. And there's different categories. You know how you see some ants, they're just fucking bots. And then there's a queen ant that manages the whole kingdom and et cetera. I looked at success like that. And I think some people have different personality types. Some people are meant to stay asleep, bro. Why? Because they build the whole infrastructure. Even what we're sitting in right now, the Atlantis Royale, was made by, you know, people that like to work. Yep. And that's just what it is. America was built by people that like to work. And then you need those people. Manage them. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, bro, you need those people. That's why like we're not angry at those people.
Yeah.
I was just angry at other people. I was just angry at other people thinking and like almost demanding that I had to follow the same path. Yeah. I was like, bro, who the fuck do you think you are? I'd almost get into arguments with people about it. I mean, I would get into arguments. I was very passionate about this topic. And I remember I was in economics class and my teacher was going around asking everybody, what do you want to be when you're older? And he got to me and I said, CEO. And like, bro, I'd never even sold a thing. I'd never sold a cookie. I'd never sold a pair of shoes. I just said CEO, just thinking I was cool. And like, cause I knew I was going to be rich. I was just like CEO. And then he was just like, what do you mean, Hassan? I was like, CEO? Like, and he got so angry because obviously he's in this like 35, 40K a year job. And he's like, Hassan, be realistic. I was like, I am CEO. I've told you my answer. Like, I got quite annoyed. I was like, that's my answer. And he's like, okay. And then he just went round again in the circle, carried on with the next person. I remember thinking, what a dickhead. Like, what a dickhead. Like, he thinks that everyone has to be an economics teacher like him. Like, why? There are people who live in these houses. Like, I'm not sure if you guys can see it on the camera. Yeah. I lived on the Palm a year ago. These houses are crazy. Like, everyone there has supercars, Bugattis. Like, on one front, on one, like, strip of the Palm, there's, like, 3 Bugattis on one road.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to know where all the cars and money is in this world and all the Richard Mills, it's on that fucking strip of land there.
It's nuts, bro.
It's crazy. Nuts. So it's like, I knew that some people had that life. Now, you don't have to know how to get there. You just have to know that you are going to get there. The how isn't so important. It's just knowing you're going to get there.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
I didn't even know shit like this existed, bro. I'll look at this place sometimes at night. I'm like, what the hell? But when I dropped out, I didn't know there was a Dubai or a damn Palm or anything. Like, I didn't even know what a Bugatti was. But like you said, it was always that belief aspect where I knew that I'd end up filthy rich somehow. Similar story too, bro. You know, I was fucking around. Yeah, I was fucking around in class, bro. My science teacher was always a dickhead too, bro. And he was like, Vincent, focus. And, you know, I'm in this job for 3 years and you can't listen to a simple task. He was like, and then one day he snapped at me. He was like, what are you going to do when you get out of this class? I was like, I'm going to be a professional bag chaser. I was the class clown, bro. The whole class started laughing. They're like, haha. Some people were laughing because it was funny. Some people were laughing because Vincent. There's no way it's Vincent. And he sent me to the principal, bro. And I remember when I was at the principal, I never wore my ID too. And at the same time, my principal was like, when you get your part-time job at Taco Bell, because you can't even wear a simple ID, this is what you're going to do. I literally started laughing when he said that. Like, I don't know why, but that was the level of belief I had where, like, when I told my mom about this, she was infuriated, but I was laughing. Yeah. I was like, fucking Taco. I was like, Taco Bell, what the hell? And he was like, I'm dead serious. If you can't listen, and I have the whole thing recorded on a voice memo. Wow. I tracked everything, right? Oh. But, you know, people ask me now, they're like, do you want to go back to your high school and drive your supercars there and flex? Like, I don't really want to.
Yeah, you surpassed that. Yeah, everyone asked me that. Yeah. Everyone asked me that all the time. They're like, bro, why don't you ship the cars back to England and flex? And I remember my ultimate motivation when I was working that sales job. So when I just got kicked out of uni, I was working this sales job. I saw everyone having fun, flexing on their story at these parties. I was like, these motherfuckers are gonna see. Like when I get my Lambo, I said I was gonna buy a Lambo in 2022. I was like, I'm gonna buy a Lambo in 2022. I did. But I kept telling people I'm gonna buy a Lambo 2022. Everyone laughed at me. I was like, I'm gonna pull up to this town, Loughborough University, and I'm gonna flex this car on people. And then as soon as I started making some money, I was like, I don't give a shit about these people. They're all losers. Like, they're all just dating 6 out of 10. This is a joke. These guys are losers. These girls are ugly. Like, I couldn't believe how average everyone was until when I moved out to Dubai and I saw all these other ballers and I meet people like yourself and we see all these other people making money. I'm like, we're just way above this.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not shipping my car all the way to shitty England. For what?
It's just an inconvenience.
They can come
bro.
to me.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Yeah, but it's funny that you say that, bro, because same exact thing. I was like, why the hell would I take my car and go down here? Hey, listen, I'm rich here, bro. I just don't give a fuck anymore. Yeah, it's like you're saying, especially for me. I know I'm new to Dubai, obviously, but me being in Miami too and meeting high level people just opened up my mind way more to where everybody you think is popular right now that's clowning you, making fun of you, saying you're not going to be shit, bro, they're not going to matter in 3 years.
Irrelevant.
I promise you they're not going to matter. Why? Because you weren't hating on people when you were younger. You were focused on success.
Exactly.
So everybody that's talking, everybody that's doubting, etc., they're going to end up nobodies. Their peak is wherever they're at now making fun of you, and then after that they're working some part-time job. But did you use revenge as fuel a lot, or what was your main motivation, bro?
Definitely I was inspired by the fact that when I get money, I'm going to show people that they were wrong and I was right. But as soon as I started making some money, as soon as I hit my first 10, 20K a month, I just stopped caring. For me, it was interesting because you don't have watches, do you? We were talking about this. Right. So before I start, you just went straight into the supercars.
Bro, straight, yeah.
But I remember I kind of got accustomed to what it's like buying these big purchases with Rolexes. Because I remember when I bought my first Rolex, it was beginning of 2021. And I remember, and then I bought my first Benz at the end of 2020, a year after I got kicked out of uni. And I remember when I bought that Benz, it was a C-Class, 20K. No one really gave a fuck. You think the whole world's gonna stop it, Hassan did it, guys. Everyone no one cares, man.
Yeah.
No one cares. No one cares when I bought the Rolex. No one cares when I bought the Lambo. Not really. A few people congratulate you and say, yeah, bro, congrats. But no one really cares, guys. So do it for yourself. That's the main thing. But if it gives you the extra push to go harder because you want to prove that person wrong, do it. More fuel to the fire. But you'll realize very quickly as you're making money, you don't give a fuck. Because very quickly, as you do start making money, you genuinely start seeing them as below you. Because those people were hating on you. Guys like us, we never hate. Like I said, as soon as I saw him doing well with Instagram, I was like, let me message this guy. I want to learn from him. I don't care. A lot of people, when they make money, they're like, no, I don't want to. I have no ego when it comes to learning. I'm always just let me learn from people doing well in whatever it is. And we were talking at lunch the other day. You said, I don't know if you want to share this online, but one guy, Vincent, invested 100K into a mentorship. One dude. That's the level of belief he has. He's like, okay, if the 100K doesn't pay off, who cares? 100K is nothing. But a lot of people are like, oh no, 1,000, I'm scared. You want to be a millionaire. You want to be a multi-millionaire, and you're worried about investing $500, 1,000, 5K. It doesn't make sense. What do you think about those people?
Yeah, bro. I mean, I've gotten to a point now where I think it's just an adrenaline rush. I'll know damn well. It's not even that I thought 100K wasn't shit. It was I want to spend this 100K and be on the verge of success or going dead broke, and that's what keeps me excited, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's later on. But obviously, if you first invest in self-development, a lot of dudes are shivering because they've never tried and they're so scared to fail. It's I'm not going to invest 2,000 or whatever because, this investment for both of our lives and this is that. That's why I don't work with lower level people as much. But I'd say that, you shouldn't be afraid to fail because failure leads to inevitable near perfection. I think that's the whole moral of it. You can't become an entrepreneur and have competency and know every single area if you haven't fallen down more times than you can count. Both of us have failed more times than we've won. Sure. And we're sitting here, you guys see the wins, you may see the wins, but you also see the failures through how we carry ourselves as well. Most people don't recognize that. So the person scared to invest in self-development, I mean, find a good mentor that you can learn from. If he looks like he's half-assed telling the truth, you see results, you see client wins, bro, why not? Because so many people mindlessly, they'll sign off to college debt, generational college debt. They'll pay $200,000 and sign their life away to learn how to be fucking average. It's bro, why not learn from a real millionaire, bro? I think that's the big difference.
It's because people aren't conscious. This is one of the main things I tell people is you have to be conscious. If someone says, Hassan, how do you change your life? I say, actually be conscious with what you're doing. Why are you waking up at 9 a.m.? Why? Does it actually suit your routine? Why are you eating those foods? Why are you posting this on Instagram? Like, ask yourself why you're doing certain things. Why are you going to college? Unless it's actually helping you, don't go. It's just people are so used to being a bot. They're so used to just like following orders. They never think like, why am I walking this way? Like, why not just go this way? You know, it's like, it's crazy how people never question why they do certain things.
Yeah.
I always found that crazy. I don't know if it's just I don't know if it's a genetic thing though. I think it's partly genetic. But I always just knew that most people were idiots. And it has nothing to do with IQ, you know? It's just to do with like, not being a bot. It's just about being strong and willing to be by yourself and make a decision that most people would consider crazy.
Yeah.
It's just like being the black sheep.
I think some people don't think, bro. You know what I mean? Some people like genuinely, like mental activity doesn't mean thinking. Some people just walk through life mindlessly. They do what they're told, and they work their entire lives. They get food and they die, bro.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. Like you're saying, I hope we can fucking eventually identify this. But there was some part of me that's like, if this is gonna be my life, I want to leave the earth. You know, like you think long term. I think it is intelligence to a certain degree, bro. Because
for sure, partly, yeah.
I think the only real measure of intelligence, bro, is if you get what you want out of life. I don't believe in IQ tests and all this bullshit. Like, bro, if you have a 200 IQ, but you're broke as shit, your wife is a 6 out of 10, you hate your job, bro, how do you have a 200 IQ, bro?
Yeah. And it's overrated IQ. Energy levels, communication skills, being confident, being perseverant, not being a coward when it comes to spending money and investing, those things surpass IQ. You know, a lot of people start making money and they wouldn't get a hotel room like this. They'd be like, no, this room costs more money than this room. It's like, yeah, but one day we're gonna die and you're not in Dubai every day, so why not get the nicer room? People are just so afraid. And you know, when I was buying this RM, people were saying, Hassan, why don't you just invest that money in stocks? Bro, I've never invested in stocks. And I'm worth millions and millions. I've never invested in stocks. Stocks are the stupidest thing to invest in. Why would you invest in stocks? I'll invest in crypto because crypto can double, but a stock's not gonna double overnight.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. People invest in stocks and crypto when they have 20K in the bank. You might as well get that 20K and spend it in the strip club. I'm serious. When I went to Miami in 2021, I had like 1,000 followers on Twitter. I started blowing money in the strip club. I started blowing money on designers. I was flexing my rollie, throwing champagne on my rollie. My personal brand exploded.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit about the fucking few thousand I was spending? Like, that's just baby money.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to know what you want. If you want to become a multi-millionaire, who gives a fuck about 10K, 20K?
Yeah.
You have dudes like saying they want to be a multi-millionaire, then they're afraid of spending $500. And then, oh no, bro, like, I gotta split the bill, I gotta... Dickheads.
Bro, $1 million dreams, $500 budget. Bro, I was the exact opposite, bro. I'd read Warren Buffett, I'd study Charlie Munger.
Really?
I was like, you know, I'm gonna be the successful, smart person in my family.
Wow.
Bro, I used to put money into stocks, bro. I'd pile money into stocks.
What made
keep
the
putting it
change?
there. Bro, what made the change is nothing was fucking moving. I was like 10%. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I took all that cash out, bro. I bought a fucking Lambo. This goes back to the story. I was comfy with the Lambo for a little bit. I bought a fucking Rolls Royce. And I had $20,000 left in my bank account, but I was in the real world now. I wasn't depending on Apple to go up or fucking the S&P 500. I was like, I'm gonna put this shit in my hands and it's up to me, bro. And that was the best thing I ever did because it was survival mode at that point. I watched that 20,000 go down to 9,000, bro, at that time. And bro, I remember I never felt more alive. I never felt more stressed, but I never felt more alive at the same time. I wasn't happy, but I was the most fulfilled because I was fighting. I was like, I just bought these 2 cars now and everybody's saying they're renting and this, that. If they watch me go broke, that's fucked. I need to prove them all wrong and actually get rich. And that's exactly what happened. I feel like that mentality you're talking about, you know, spending money, not recklessly, but spending money in a way that's abundance. You know it's gonna come back. That leads to you making more. One thing we mentioned before this podcast even started, I wanna talk to you guys about the concept of you cannot save your way rich. It just doesn't exist.
Nope.
If you're making $5,000 a month, bro, and you save all of it, bro, after 12 months, I don't know, 60K, and then you save 60K a year and you get 10%.
You can't save all of it. Anyway,
Yeah.
the people who are making 5K, they'll be lucky to save $300 a month. They're spending it taxes, bills, accommodation. There's no savings.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I always tell people this. I'm not sure if you've ever talked about this point before, but it's like the difference between making, let's say, it could be any number, 20K versus 10K is not double. The difference between making 100K a month and 50K is not double. I always say to people, it's like 4 or 5x. And the reason why is because, let's say you make 20K a month. Your spending might be 8K a month. You might be making 10K a month and your spending is like 7K a month. So the point I'm making is your spending is roughly the same, but the amount you have left over every month is like substantially more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's say you make 20K a month and you spend 8K. You have 12K left over every month. Whereas if you spend 7K and you only make 10K, you have 3K left over. It's a 4x difference. It's not double, you know? A lot of people just look at it as like, are making double, but it's like, what do you have left over as well? So if you're making 5K, the difference between you making 5K a month and 10K is so much more than just a small little 2X. It's huge.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, people
Bro,
don't consider that.
that's a good point, bro. Because
You know?
the funniest thing, bro, when I was at 100,000 a month, I still felt broke, bro.
That's the thing, because you might be
Craziest
spending
concept.
60.
Exactly.
Whereas if
bro.
you're making half a mil a month, then it's just like quickly stacks.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
Your spending is roughly the same.
Exactly, bro. So yeah, if you're making 100,000 a month, you spend 60. I'm left with 40 at the end of each month, and I blow that on dumb shit, bro. I feel like $500,000 a month plus is the real world where you're not looking at anything. You could fucking buy a new Lambo, you know, every single month or so, and it just stacks. And that's what you guys want to reach. Then you get into investing. So many people think investing makes you rich. Income makes you rich. Investing makes you wealthy on top of that. And what they don't understand is that we invested on the lower levels too. Maybe it didn't look like a traditional stock or a traditional IRA or et
We
cetera.
are the stock.
But yeah, exactly. We were the
stock.
stock. And we invested in mentors, right? If you're making 5,000 a month right now, the best actionable step, bro, take the extra grand, $2,000 you have saved up, take it out of the fucking 401k, bro. Get a mentor who's a millionaire. Let him teach you a high income skill set and upgrade that. Because like we're saying, we didn't get to this position from hoarding. We didn't get to this position from investing. We got to this position, I mean, I guess in a sense, by spending everything back on ourselves.
I always say the best way to spend money is either on education or on reputation. So if I buy a supercar, that's an investment in reputation, brand awareness, all these different things. If I invest it into a mentorship or traveling to meet people, that's in education. Whereas most people spend their money on Tesla, right? They invest it into a stock which goes up 10% a year. Like 10%, that basically counters inflation. Like that's not you getting richer. You know, it's like kind of like being a 9-to-5 employee. You get 5% richer every year and you're happy. Like inflation's more than 5%. You didn't get richer. You just, it's just mental jerking off. It's just mental procrastination. You're sat there thinking you got richer. You haven't got richer. You know, you just sat there, oh, my 5%. Like, there's no 5%. It's 5% down, you know? So it's just like, I always thought to myself, I need to spend everything I make to get to that next level. I remember when I started making money with my sales team, I spent all my money on the Benz. I had like 20-something K in the bank. I spent every pound on that car. Like, literally every pound. That was always my mindset. And I remember when I was working this door-to-door sales job, there were times when I was trying something else. I was trying Forex as well. I asked my brother for all his lifetime savings. I was like, bro, I need all your money. Asked him for like 5-6 grand, put it all into Forex. I genuinely thought I was a genius and I cracked the code. Guess what happened? All to zero. I remember one day, man, what happened is I was making crazy money. I'll never forget this day. So I made £3,000 that week. And on the Friday, which is the last day of the markets being open, because Forex closes on Friday, we made £1,800. It's like a couple $1,000. And I remember we ordered a Domino's pizza and we sat on opposite ends of the dining room table. And my mum never lets us sit on the dining room table. We always have to eat in the kitchen. I was like, Mom, it's a big day. We just made 2,000. Like, I just got kicked out of uni 3 months before. So she's like, what the hell? She made an exception for me. Anyway, 2 days later when the markets opened back, we lost everything. And I remember how it happened is I was at my door-to-door sales job. I was up £1,000 for the day. And I remember thinking to myself, why am I fucking here? I don't need to knock on doors. That's peasant shit. I'll go back home and put more trades on.
Bro, that's the funniest shit in the world.
I lost everything.
Every successful entrepreneur now was a failed day trader, bro. You know what I mean? Like even me, bro, I put $1,000 into an account. Everything I made from reselling, drop shipping, all the different business models that I tried, bro, same thing. I thought I cracked the code, bro. I invested in NAS 100, US 30, bro.
Oh, US 30, I think that's the, is that the one that goes up crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy,
I used to use it as
Crazy
gambling.
shit, bro.
I was like, come on.
Bro, exactly, bro. So I put it in, bro. I'm up 300, right? And I'm like, yo, I'm up 300. I'm celebrating, bro. I didn't put a stop loss. I take a nap, bro. My fucking life savings are gone, bro. But that was what put me in offense mode. I was like, yo, all my shit is gone. Now I have to go out and hunt and learn real valuable skills. Now, I don't even mean to bash the day trading dudes, but bro, like, this was my mentality. When that happened to me, I was like, okay, I'm probably not gonna get rich clicking buttons. You know, I have to learn a real valuable skill set that I can provide to the world, and that's how I'm gonna get rich as well. But that's fucking funny as shit, bro. I did the exact same shit that you did.
But I am actually against trading, though. I want to mention, I am against trading. For everyone watching this video, I couldn't suggest more not to get into trading. I know some people are successful, but that's like saying some people are successful in the NBA. I think I saw you talk about this on your IG story maybe a couple of weeks ago. Was it you saying something along the lines of you have way more chance being you than... This is, I've said this many times before about footballers. It's way harder to be a Premier League footballer and make 50, 100K a week than it is to be in entrepreneurship and make 50, 100K a week. 100%. To make it to the top of a Premier League, you know, it's like 0.00001%. Every kid in England wants to be a Premier League footballer. Every kid in Brazil wants to be a footballer. You know, whereas not everyone is on this journey that we're on. It's much easier. So it's funny that how we all are on that same path though. We all come to the same conclusions. Like, you can't save yourself rich. You have to get more skills. You have to invest in yourself. You have to meet other high level people. Like, we both had mentors. Like, there's no way around it, you know?
Yeah.
But I knew stocks weren't going to make me rich. I just knew it. I knew that shit was bullshit.
Yeah, bro.
Because everyone who invested in stocks was just, no one had supercars. I was like, this is bullshit.
They'd post, like, I'd check the Instagram stories though. He's up 2K, he's up 3. But same exact thing. I'm like, where's the cash?
Yeah.
I don't see any cash. But I remember watching a Grant Cardone video, bro. It's called Top 3 Money Secrets, bro.
Okay.
And one of the principles in this thing was that money is useless unless it's used.
I love that point.
Bro,
Yeah.
when I heard that, I was like, holy shit. Like, your money sitting there, like you said, is literally just depreciating. They print more of it
Literally
every single
melting.
day. Yeah.
It's literally melting.
Trillions and trillions of dollars are being printed out of thin air, right? So you can't save your money. And once I realized that, if you look at money like liquid, like you can't hold on to it, you can't store it, you got to keep it moving and flowing, that's when you become successful, bro. Because every single dollar I make, even now, Hassan asked me, he's like, bro, why don't you invest in crypto? I was like, right now, ad spend is a better return for me, but we're both investing. Maybe not traditional in the sense of like S&P 500, et cetera, but we're still both investing directly back into ourselves and our businesses.
It's like having a big ice cube, right? Not a small ice cube because that will melt in 5 seconds, right? But it's like having a big ass ice cube and we put it here on this balcony. That shit's going and melting. Like that, there's no saving that. We're in Dubai, that shit's gonna get melted very quickly. You know, we have to use the ice cube quickly, put it in our drink that drink quickly before that shit gets melted. It's kind of the same thing with your money. Your money is in your bank and it might take more than a day, it might take more than a minute like the ice cube, but it's going to zero. You know, eventually the dollars you have now are depreciating all the way to nothing. You know, eventually in the future, these trousers are gonna cost $1,000 because eventually the fiat money will be so worthless compared to now. These will be 1,000. At the moment, they're like 50 probably. So it's just like eventually it's going to zero. So use that money to attack. You know, it's all about attacking. Like, attack is the best defense.
Yeah, it's literally
I'm a
just
big believer
ammo,
in
bro. It's ammo. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, I don't look at it like saving, hoarding. I'm like, how can I use this ammo?
The analogy I use a lot is like getting rich is a war, it's a battle, and each dollar is a soldier. So it's like, imagine you're China and like you're competing against Russia. Your military versus their military or something. You know, it's like, okay, America might have the best military in the world, but if all their soldiers are sitting at home watching Netflix and China use all their military, China are going to win.
Yeah.
So it's like all about who uses their military. Some of you guys watching this have 50K in the bank, but you're not using it. Whereas some of you watching this podcast have 1,000 in the bank and you're using it. You spend the 1,000, you get a bit better. Then you get more money from your job, you invest it into yourself again. Those people are better. The second people with 1K in the bank spending the 1K are much better off than the guy with 50K not spending anything.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not worth anything unless you spend it.
Yeah.
The only use of money is spending it.
Yeah, and I feel like on the outskirts, like you're from the UK, I'm from Arizona, the only myth of rich people I'd hear is like a 40-year-old dude with $2 million. And like that was the only thing seen as successful. And how he got there was working his job and stashing a percentage, et cetera. I was like, I don't want to be 40 years old and old as shit where nobody's even looking at me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be the old guy that has a nice life and a mansion. You can give me everything. Give me a Bugatti. I just don't want to be old.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be young and rich. And the thing I've seen about young and rich people is they're just on complete offense. They reinvest back into themselves and their businesses. And it's not the whole game that everybody says. It's like, business. They build a business, they sell the business, they build a business, they have cash flow. I feel like once you build the systems too, you only have to build that shit once and it pays you forever. And all you have to do is keep your maintenance. It's like a machine. It's like every now and then you get a check engine like, cool, let me fix this. Boom, my machine's still flowing again. Boom, let me put this upgrade on. Think of it like a car. Let me get a new exhaust on it. Boom, okay, let me put a new wrap on this. That's all business really is in the sense that I feel like I'm playing it, bro, you know?
100%. Another thing that kind of changed my mindset towards money is I sat there and thought to myself, what's the average wage in England? It's like 30-something thousand pounds a year. In America, it's like 40K a year. And I remember thinking to myself, if I save every penny, like we said, which is impossible, it's going to take me 20, 30, 40 years to have $1 million. Whereas even if I fail 10, 20 businesses in a row, eventually I'm going to have a business that will give me $1 million. You know? Like, it's not going to take you 30 years to become a millionaire through business. So what are you waiting for? Hey guys, I just had to check the camera quickly. But yeah, I was just saying, I knew that it was bullshit to sit there and save every dollar I had because I remember working it out once. Like, if I work a job for 40 years and I'm making 30K a year, it's going to take me 40 years to become a millionaire. That's if I save every single penny. Whereas if I start business, it might take me 10, 11, 20 attempts in business, but eventually on year 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm gonna have a business that's paying me thousands of dollars a day and I'm gonna be a millionaire. So it's just a numbers game. It's just like, you gotta ask yourself, does it sound reasonable that eventually on your 12th business attempt, you're gonna become a millionaire? Obviously. It's like, all you gotta do is just get through the 11 shit ones first. Another analogy I use to people is, imagine we had a pack of cards. How many cards are there in a pack of cards? 52, is it? Some shit like that, right? Let's just say there's roughly 50 cards. If I told you there's one gold card and you had 5 minutes to go through the cards, and only one of them is a gold card, all the rest are black, right? Are you gonna flip it over like, oh, that's a black one, and then be like, fuck, like, which one's the gold one? No, you're just gonna be like, nope, 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 nope. And then it's literally gonna take you 10 or 20 seconds and you've already been through all the cards anyway, and you're guaranteed to find the gold one. It's the same thing with business. If you move quick enough, you're guaranteed to find that gold card, that gold business, that winning business. It's just people move too slowly. They find one black card, one losing business, they're like, fuck, like, it's just that you've got to find the winning one. It definitely exists for you. It's not like this complex operation. Eventually, you're going to win.
And that's funny you say that, bro, because obviously you're doing different businesses, you're failing, you're getting back up. The secret isn't even just the business, it's who you become through those failures.
It's mainly that, yeah.
There's another part of it too. It's like, I feel like I could really go back and succeed with every business model I tried,
for sure.
applying the principles I knew now, but that wouldn't be possible. I didn't fall on my face 10 times. So it's just like, it's about depth too. It's almost like entrepreneurship is, you know, how long can you stick to one thing and not give up as well? It's kind of like relationships as well. It's like, yes, you could go out and fuck 20 hoes. Or you can find one girl, you have an argument, you know, you get back with the girl, you work it out, boom, you have an argument, you get back, you work it out. Eventually you have a successful relationship where your woman behaves. But if you're in a relationship and it's like you have one argument, you find a new girl, you have another argument, you find a new girl, another one, find it. It's like you're just gonna keep repeating the same exact loop. And I feel like that's why most people fall off as well, is just they don't have loyalty to their industry.
They're always going back to square one. You know, they're like, with copywriting, I'm stuck at 5K a month. Maybe I have to switch to e-com. And then they start e-com, they maybe get to 5K a month as well, or maybe 6K, and they're like, this is amazing. And then they get stuck on the 5 or 6K, they're like, fuck, I have to switch to something else. And they're constantly switching business models instead of realizing the reason why you're plateaued at 5K a month is because you are stuck at 5K a month. It's not the business model. There's definitely someone out there who's making more than 5K a month with that business model. Obviously. You know, so that's not the limiting factor. I have so many people ask me like, Hassan, do you think this business model is saturated? It's like, think about how many hotels and restaurants there are in this world. It's like saying, is a hotel saturated? It's like 100, there's like 1,000 hotels just in Dubai probably.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, like every business works. But people try to come up with the excuses. They're looking for a way out. They're like, this is saturated. I got to try something else. I know, bro, you were just being a dickhead. You have to just try harder.
And I made a story about that, bro. I summarized it into a quote. It was like, you know, a poor mentality, you find a problem in every opportunity. A rich person finds opportunity in every single problem. So back to what we said about optimism, it's like, even through all those failures, I'd get discouraged sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. Like the day trading shit, of course, my friends were in my ear, like shit doesn't work. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't work. Drop shipping, same exact thing. I let my friends get in my ear. I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work as well. If you can have an optimistic circle as well, you know how they say if you go one person, you can go far. If you have a team, if you go one person, you go fast. If you have a team, you go far. I think that's the same thing with success too, where you having employees now and me having employees now, like you said, it keeps you working harder because you're the face and you want them to see a good example. And now you're feeding their families as well, to where I think your guys' number one goal should be to build a team. Because a lot of it's not even just one-man armies. Like that's the face of it. You may think I'm just Vincent Fisher. There's 20 men behind me on their PCs all day smoking cigars and typing. You know what I mean? It's just like same exact thing with you. So
I remember I had a cigar once with Iman Gadzhi, and we just basically were talking about business, talking about employees, and he was saying business was much harder at the beginning because at the beginning of his journey, it was just him and maybe 1 or 2 people. So it's like he's 50 or 60 or 70% of the whole operation. At the very beginning, he was 100% of the whole operation. But then when he has 100 people on his team, it's just like he's 1% of the whole effort. So it's like if he has a day off, no one will really even notice because there's 99 people to cover his slack, pull his slack. So it's kind of the same thing in football, Football is different than boxing. In boxing, if you have a bad day, you're going to get knocked out. Whereas in football, because it's a team sport, one guy can have a bad day, you still might win the game. But it's the same thing with business. As you progress, you can kind of have a bad day because you have so many other people to kind of perform. Obviously, you don't want a bad day, but you can. But at the beginning, it's all on you. If you can't be asked, when you come back home from your 9-to-5 job, you're like, oh, no, I'm tired, I want to have a nap. Yeah, then you're just cooked. So that's why I always say this to people. The hardest time of your life will be when you're working a 9-to-5 job and you have to come back home, go gym, walk your dog, and try and start your side hustle or business. Because that fucks with your mind. You're like, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
You have no energy, no results. Your parents are telling you you're deluded. Your girlfriend's telling you you're deluded. Your friends are telling you you're deluded. Maybe you've not invested into any mentors. You have no one telling you that's possible. You're just like alone.
Yeah.
That's just hard.
And the thing about business too is like people in general are unpredictable. You know, like we're hard workers, but at the same time, like the average person as well, everybody's gonna have a bad day and a good day. One thing I love about business, like your guys' goal shouldn't be to stay small too and to have 2 employees, like you were saying. The more and more people I hire, I notice that evens out the inconsistencies.
Exactly.
Because like you're saying, it's like you got 100 people, you know, okay, we perform at this level and do this a month. But if you have 2 people, one of your sales guys is at dinner popping bottles, now your numbers just fucking drop, and now you're stressed out, you're yelling at your girl. That was my life when I was playing business small.
Yeah.
So like your guys' goal should be to keep growing, keep building, get bigger and bigger to where I always saw a vision, bro, where I was like, I want an endless river of money. You know, there's billionaires out here that are doing it. Money is flowing to them every second of the day. I was like, I want to be one of those people. And it's not about just knowledge. It's not about just systems. It's about team size, bro. You know what I mean? It's just SOPs as well. I know this is boring shit of the podcast, but like people don't make a business. The systems make a business. It's kind of like if a brokey gets a job at Walmart, they're gonna stack this box here, boom, scan this, do this. They could be good at their job.
Yeah.
If your business, if somebody can't enter and have a direct SOP of how to perform and succeed, then it's not gonna grow.
Yeah, I realized that was a mistake I made at the beginning. You just kind of assume everyone should just take the initiative, but they don't know your business as well as you. And also, it's just like you care more about your business than everyone else. If there's other people who care more about your business than you, I think that's kind of a red flag. Because you, as the main guy, should care the most. You're the one getting the most money. You should definitely care the most, even if it's only by 1 or 2%. Like, you obviously want people who still care, but you should still care the most because ultimately it's your business. For them, it's a job. You know, obviously there's employees in your company who are going to care more, they're more incentivized, blah, blah, blah. But especially people in lower level positions at your company, you have to just be direct. Like, this is what I expect from you. This is what I want from you. And just give them almost checklists. Like, this is what I want. All right, guys, battery just run out.
Quick water break. Yes, sir. But yeah, back to what you were saying too with people. It's like the more you give people to do, the more they do their job. I didn't know it worked like that as well. I'm not somebody that needs somebody on my ass, but the more systems and the more small tasks I had them do, 10 a.m., tell me when you clock in, you know, end of day reports, boom, this, do that.
Makes a difference.
It's just, they feel like they're working towards something. And on the flip side, like you said, bro, I had a big problem where I thought that it was the people. People don't understand. You could have talent that enters your business, and if you don't have the right systems, they're gonna leave your business. So I'd hire. I'm like, this person's ass. This person's not doing his job. And then I realized, I was like, okay, maybe I'm the problem. You know, maybe it's kind of like, in a sense, it's kind of like girls. Like you get to a point like maybe I'm the problem. If you were a strong, capable leader, anybody could come into your business for the most part and succeed. It's like the owner of NVIDIA talks about this a lot. He's like, I rarely fire people if I know I can improve them.
Right.
He's like, if I know I can improve somebody, there's no need for me to fire them. I'm going to build on what I have.
Because it's costly.
Blueprint.
It takes time to get them in. It's just better to keep the same people. And it's just good for your mental energy. Like, all right, this is my team, these are my people. You know, we're going to win together. That was one of my favorite things McGregor said. He was basically talking about how on the come up, he saw so many different fighters and they were switching gyms all the time. You had all these fighters who were like, okay, I need to switch gym. My coach isn't good enough. My teammates aren't good enough. And his mindset was always like, that's weakness. You know, you have to always look at your team and think, these people are good enough. My team are more than good enough. It's all about me. At the end of the day, you can make everything work. And I think it's a weak mindset to always look around and think, oh, no, these people aren't good enough. I need better. Like, no, a lot of the time it is your fault. It is your lack of leadership. That's the reason why you're not growing how you want to grow. But I completely relate to what you're saying. Yeah. Even like little things like just telling people like I have one guy right now who just gives me like a daily report at 11 p.m. like all my social media analytics. And like he hasn't missed a single day, you know? But imagine me just expecting him to do that by himself. Like he was never going to do that. Like it's amazing how simple you can just, it's amazing how such simple little tasks like that can make such a big improvement. And they're so easy for the other person to do. Oftentimes you sit there and think, oh no, they're not going to do it. And I have to check on them. Like people like feeling responsible for their life. People don't like being forced all the time. You have to do this. Just give them like, all right, these are your tasks. And then check on them once a day. Like, all right, is this done? Yeah, cool. And if they're shit, then obviously get rid of them. But most people aren't shit. Most people aren't that stupid. People always just assume everyone's so stupid. They're not. Most of the time you're quite stupid, and it's just like, it takes humility to recognize that.
Bro, and that's a big point too. If you can hire people that are smarter than you, bro, that makes all the difference. I got a sales manager who's an absolute G, bro.
Yeah.
I pay this dude like $50,000 a month, bro.
Yeah.
And he's just smarter than me.
Yeah.
He's like, show up rate, boom, this, checking, tracking this. I'm just sitting here floating around. It's like you guys don't even want to be. You guys want to get to a certain point. You're not just the CEO and running it, bro. You want to get to a point you're the owner as well. And then you have free time to make content. We're in the social media game, like you said, where that's the most important thing. Where early on in my journey, bro, I had the exact opposite as you. I didn't learn sales first. I didn't learn marketing first. I knew how to go viral, and that was it, and I built on top of that. But what I realized was all of my other friends that started in the aspect of just learning these skill sets like sales and et cetera, I just had hundreds of thousands of followers, so it didn't matter. I could make a post and I'd sell while having shitty marketing, you know what I mean? So that's another side to it as well. But I want to ask you this because for the people watching, what gives you your self-accountability? I think that's another success trait a lot of people don't have.
In what way? What do you mean, sir?
I mean, like how you said everything is absolutely your fault. Like, you know, you'll hear so many people blaming external circumstances and, well, the weather and this and that and how I felt and how I was raised and you don't understand me. What do you say to that person, bro?
It's just recognizing that ultimately no one is coming to save you. No one's actually going to help you. And it's just like, it is the most advantageous mindset to have. It's the most competitive mindset to have, which is, I just got to do everything myself. I got to be the one who forces things, you know? And it's like, you just talked about your sales manager, how he's smarter than you, he's a beast, blah, blah, blah. But if I was to bet money on it, I'm sure that you thought to yourself, I need a sales manager, and you probably went and found him, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but
100%.
You hired him. So it's like, even if you are going to hire beasts, even if you are going to hire smart people, you have to be the one who goes and finds them. You know, usually it's the man who goes to the woman and starts the relationship or asks her out, and that's just the way it is. Like, you always have to be the one who forces the pace. That's one of my favorite quotes I tell myself in my brain. I'm like, force the pace, force the pace, force the pace. Something is better than nothing. If I'm unsure on what I want to do, I'll just go do a random voice note on my Telegram. That's why I have 7,000 voice notes on my Telegram channel. Or I'll just do a random Instagram story, or like, I'm gonna start doing 20 or 30 stories a day. You know, fuck it. Just because there's so much time in a day, you know? So I think a lot of people just overthink everything. But for me, it's just like, why I hold myself to this standard is because I know no one else will do it for me. That's it. Like, and I know I want nice things in life. I want a good life. What about you? What holds you accountable?
Yeah, I'd say I'm just competing against myself.
Yeah.
And I know if I'm not performing at my best self, especially as a 22-year-old now, I lose fulfillment. You know, like people don't understand this concept. No matter what level you're at, if you're not growing, you're dying. And if you feel like you're dying, it's a miserable life. You could have millions and millions of dollars, but if you're not growing at all, you could have Lambos, supercars, Richard Milles, Bugattis, bro. But if your business is going down and steadily declining, you're just having fun, bro, you may look happy on a surface level, bro, you're not fulfilled. You know what I mean? So it's just me knowing that I can't let myself down.
The days when I'm not pushing as hard as I can, even if I've made a lot of money, I've heard you talk about this, I'm angry as fuck. The point you made about, I think you said you were going to McDonald's, you eat McDonald's unless you've hit a certain day. It's like, that's completely my mindset. Like, if I've had a day, or it's not even about the money, it's about like my input. Like, how much do I feel like I've done? If I feel like I've given it 50% effort, I'm genuinely like, I don't want to say suicidal, but I'm pretty depressed. You know, like in that moment, I'm not thinking, oh, I have a Lambo. I don't give a shit. It's all about input. You know, it's all about input. So to all of you guys watching this, material things don't make you happy. It's completely about how hard you're working out of 100. I always say to people, like 100 effort is like your family's life. You know, your family are going to die by the end of the year unless you made X amount of money and you have to save them. 0 is like you're not trying at all. When you're trying at 100, that's the happiest you're going to be.
Bro.
So for me, whenever I'm at 100, I'm like, life is so good. If I'm not trying at my best, I don't care how much money I'm making, I'm depressed as fuck. So recently I've been working even harder again. So the last couple of weeks I've been even happier. Because I've moved places and I've been even more productive. I'm happier. It's not about the money, it's about the...
Bro, that's a funny thing too, because a lot of people, you know, they'll find instant gratification. They'll want to go party, they want to go celebrate when they haven't achieved anything. I think the problem with modern day society is so many people enjoy the actual celebration more than the achievement. Like if I'm working super hard, like you said, and there's crazy ass input, bro, by the time I do buy the Lambo as a reward, or, you know, you buy the Richard Mille because you're winning, you don't really feel like, yo, what the
Not at all.
You're working too hard. You're like, okay, let me get this watch. Boom, I'm back to typing. I'm back to work. And I think that comes with time. I don't know if you had this too. When I first spent all my money on a BMW i8, bro, like the first nice car I bought, bro, a part of me actually got a little bit intoxicated by the win. I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah.
A part of it was like, damn, I got this fly ass whip now, and I know I wasn't working as efficiently. And then the more and more cars and shit that you buy, the more smooth you get with it, and you're back to operating. I don't know if you had that. Did you have that at all or no?
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. When I first bought my Benz, I definitely thought, yeah, this is sick, I'm cool, blah, blah, blah. But I got used to it quickly, like I was saying with that Rolex story. I remember when I bought that first Rolex, I thought to myself, this is sick. But then I realized no one really cared. I looked at it, I was like, this isn't, it's just a fucking watch. Like, nothing's happening. It's not doing anything for me. It's just on my wrist. Then I bought the second one, I super didn't care. The third one, I was like, I didn't even look at it for more than a minute when I got home. So I got used to that. I got used to that process with watches before I got the cars.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember when I first moved to Dubai, it was like the end of 2022. There was like a 7-month period when I bought 5 supercars, like back to back. And I was just buying them all in cash, and I'd go to the dealership. And every like week I'd be at the dealership because I'd have to choose the car I wanted. You go, you do the insurance, you send the money, the bank like all these things. It felt like every day I was at the dealership. And as soon as my brother and I bought the car, we got home and just left it in the garage and just got back straight back to work.
Yeah.
We didn't drive the car even when we bought it. We didn't care. All we did, stuck it on IG story, stuck it as a Twitter picture, and that was it. Got home.
That's funny as shit, bro.
Didn't care.
Yeah, I mean, same exact thing, bro. I probably bought like 7 cars now. I don't know, 7, 8, something like that. But yeah, bro, I know what you mean. You go into the dealership, you do the papers. It's the most boring part. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Boom, you do this, call the insurance, boom. Like, yeah, that's fucking funny as hell. But you do get numb to the process. You get numb to winning. It's like, I probably smile. Like, I don't know. Fucking when I bought my girl the Urus, I didn't even fucking smile. It was like, I smiled when I gave it to her. It wasn't about getting the car, though. It was about the gesture.
For sure.
You know what I
it's
mean?
really, it's all about how hard you're working. You know deep down in your heart if you're making progress or not, and that's the only thing that gives you happiness. So when I bought the Benz, I was 20, 50 times happier than when I bought the Lambo. I'll be real.
Yeah.
Because when I bought that Benz, it was all my money. And it was like the feeling of, all right, I'm actually going to prove people wrong. I am proving people wrong. And I was just starting to make real money. I was, well, not real money, but real money. And I was happy as fuck. When I bought the Lambo, I was already like making money for a long time. And I already could have bought a Lambo for a long time. It's just in England, I got my license banned and I couldn't get insured on a car.
Yeah, I didn't give a fuck about the cars. I always looked at it like marketing tools. I don't know if you looked at it like that as well. I know you
for
gave
sure.
that example that you gave of, what was it? It was like brand or business or something. You know, those two things, you're either investing into one of those.
Yeah, reputation or knowledge.
Exactly.
So like,
bro.
I just saw you got your teeth done recently, right?
Yeah.
You posted that on your story. I got my teeth done maybe a few months ago in Dubai. Like, that's an investment in reputation, image, all that kind of stuff. Cars, reputation, image, all that stuff. Watch, reputation, image. Mentorships, knowledge. Traveling, reputation and knowledge, because you can go and meet people, they can put you on some game and you can learn. So traveling is a good one if you're intentional with who you're meeting, how you're spending your time. But if you come and travel and you just do some tourist shit, you don't meet anyone, it's not the best use of time. Well, it depends, because I know you've been doing some tourist shit, but you're already high level, and sometimes you want
But
to...
it's not even tourist
And you're getting
shit.
content.
You know, I'll be there. It's all for content. I'll
For
be there.
sure.
My girl's like, can you just enjoy the dinner? I'm like, no, I got to get this damn video.
Yeah, my girl
Can
says
you
it. Yeah,
enjoy the
yeah.
video? I'm like, no, not right now.
Yeah.
But it's good to have a girl that understands that as well. You know,
Yeah.
like my girl understands. I tell her every time we travel, like, this is not a vacation. We're going to do the things that look great for social media and sell the life a little bit, but this is not a vacation.
It's still fun. I still enjoy being with you, but I would not be here if I couldn't film.
Yeah,
That's what I say to her. I'm like, if I couldn't film, I'm at home. You know, sometimes that annoys them, but it's just like, I'm telling the truth. I
is
think I
what
heard
it is,
KSI say that once. You know KSI?
Yeah.
He was basically talking about how he hadn't taken a holiday in his whole career. And like, he was talking about going on a holiday for the first time in his whole career. Every time someone sees him travel, it's not for fun, it's for work. It's to promote his book, it's to promote this YouTube video, it's to film this, it's to do this podcast, it's to do this fight, it's to do this training camp, this site. It's always work. Like, if you guys want to be successful, one of the most competitive mindsets you can have is just make your whole life work. That's why, for example, a lot of people ask me, Hassan, why do you do marketing on Telegram? The reason why I do marketing on Telegram, because I just do voice notes so quickly and effortlessly. I'm driving, voice note. Like I said earlier, everything, voice note. I'm in the gym, in between sets, voice note. That's why I've done so many.
Yeah.
So it's just like, a lot of people kind of separate work and fun from their lives. I try and combine them together. That's why building a personal brand is such a good way of making money as well.
Yeah.
Because you can get paid to have fun. We're here with this view and we're filming.
It's nuts, bro. It's nuts.
nuts.
Your whole life can become a vacation. I feel like for me, especially probably you moving to Dubai, me moving to Miami, it's like my entire life.
When did you move to Miami? Not to cut
I
you
moved
off,
to Miami probably 3 years ago.
do you remember exactly when? Like which year, which month?
Nah, I don't even remember what year, what month. I remember moving though, and I remember seeing buildings for the first time. You know, palm trees on buildings, like fucking beautiful women, right? The city, the just the whole scenery, and I was like, holy shit, there's no way this shit exists. I got the same effect with Dubai too, and you work in these places. I never understood people that are like, man, you know, I wanted to just go to Texas. I go to Texas. I'm like, what the fuck? Why can't you? Why there's places like this, bro? There's places like Miami.
It's because they don't see themselves as like the winner.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Maybe
if you
it's
don't
that,
see
yeah.
yourself as the guy who's gonna actually end up making millions, and you always see yourself as like a secondary character or just an NPC, why do you need to be in Dubai or Miami? Because you know deep down in Miami there are people with Bugatti, so it's like it's hard to compete with those people unless you know one day you're gonna have a Bugatti. Whereas both of us, we know we're gonna have a Bugatti, so it's like, all right, bring it on. Let's be in these areas.
Yeah, yeah.
And we get inspired when we see people with a Bugatti. We're not like, oh my god, no, like my feelings are hurt. It's like good, like this guy knows something. And I remember the first time I was in Miami, I was in the plane and I was doing my accommodation last minute. I was like, where do I stay? Do I stay in like the nicest hotels or do I go a bit cheaper? I was like, nah, we're gonna go somewhere nice. We stayed in the Four Seasons. The first car I saw in the Four Seasons parking, whatever you want to call it, the valet, blacked out Bugatti Chiron. I was like, what the fuck? I'd never seen a Bugatti in person before. And the first minute I'd got off the plane in Miami, the first hotel I pull up to, I see a Bugatti. I'm like, this is a sign. God's telling me, Hassan, good job for booking this hotel. And I walk into the lobby, I see girls so beautiful. I'd never seen that before in England. Like, holy shit, Miami's crazy. I feel like Scarface here.
Yeah.
And then my personal brand exploded. I was selling sales mentorships for 10K. I was like, it's just good. Online money's easy. Like, it's easier than door-to-door sales. And I was like,
Yeah.
I think door-to-door sales helps a lot, man, with social media. What gave you your confidence to just post and not give a fuck what people think? Is it your mindset? Is it your parents? Like, for me, it was door-to-door sales give me a big push of like, bro, rejection doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think I used to care, honestly, bro. For me, it was like the physical aspect. I know that sounds weird as hell.
No, I was gonna say, because if you go gym and you're confident.
Yeah, I was never able to talk
Yeah.
to the camera before. I tried making content before the gym. I guess after the gym, that was what gave me the self-belief of like, okay, I know that I built me, and no matter what somebody says about me, I love myself. You know what I mean? It's like you have that security of you know who you are, and you reach that state of I don't give a fuck. You know, I'll upload anything and I'm not gonna really care. People make like YouTube series about it, I don't really care. You know, we talked about this off camera. You're like, what do you think when you see the videos that you watch? I'm like, bro, I honestly don't even care at all. You know what I mean? So, but back to the whole Miami subject, bro. Similar story, bro. First I bought my Huracan, bro. Drop top Huracan. They give me a Lamborghini hat, bro. I'm literally driving home, bro. And I look to my side, I see a drop top Bugatti Devo. And there's like an older...
Devo?
Not Devo, I'm sorry. Drop top...
Veyron, Chiron?
Veyron. Yeah, drop top Veyron. 40-year-old dude in there. He nods at me. I looked at that like a sign from God too, as a like, Vince, you're not finished, bro. There's more levels to this game. You know, there's times you're gonna be humbled, and I was like, fuck, bro. But it fired me up. Like you said, I didn't see that and I wanted to quit. I saw that and I was like, damn, I need to climb to an even higher level. And it's just about being around success too. Like, I'm sure you spending time in Miami, you being in Dubai too, you see so many other people winning that it feels normal. If everybody around you's losing, sometimes your surroundings and your environment can be the biggest crush that holds you back because you're not seeing success. Like out here in Dubai, bro, I've seen at least 5 Richard Milles from random ass people. I'm like, that dude looks like a normal dude. What the fuck is he doing? You know what I mean? If he has that shit, I can have that shit too, and it's motivation, you know?
Bro, you see random people just drive these like big Nissans or big Jeeps, whichever cars they are, and the number plate's like 12 or 4.
Yeah.
And like in Dubai, the way it works is the smaller the number plate, the more expensive it is. Like number 12 is very expensive. Number 4 is like tens of millions of dollars, I think. And you just see some dude get out and he's just wearing that like, you know, the Arab like, that like sheikh kind of cloth type. I forgot what it's called. I should know, I'm Arab, but they're just wearing that and you're like, who are these people? And they just have number plates that are worth tens and tens of millions of dollars. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, bro.
So it just gets you thinking bigger.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of you guys think there's no money because you live in your small town, Coventry, Idaho, Michigan.
Yeah.
I always use Michigan as an example. People get pissed off.
Why you use Michigan?
I don't know, it kind of just started one day. I tweeted it and it went viral and everyone's like, bro, why are you hating on Michigan? I kind of just kept going with it. And Michigan, I don't know what it's like in America because I've never been Michigan. But in England, when you think of the word Michigan, you think of just, like, what's in Michigan? That's what I think. So I kind of just kept using it. Now it's like my example. It's like no one does anything in Michigan. It's kind of just a wasteland. So
Yeah. No, that's funny as shit, bro.
that's what I say to people.
I'm fucking fried. I'm not gonna lie. But guys, I want to wrap this shit up, Hassan. You want to do an outro? Where can they follow you, bro?
Yeah, you can follow me on YouTube, Hassan Overpaid. You can follow me on Instagram, Hassan Hyder1, Twitter, Mr. Overpaid, TikTok, Overpaid S. It's all over the place, but we'll put the links in the bio. I don't know whose account we're posting this on. Vincent, where can they follow you, bro?
Yeah. Follow me at Vincent Fisher _ on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Let's get it. But yeah, hope you guys got a lot of value out of that. This is a real life conversation between two young dudes who are killing it. Not 40-year-olds killing it. I'm sure a 40-year-old with 2 million would give you different advice. But we're telling you advice on how to become successful in a very efficient time and enjoy your life as well and travel and explore the world, get the girl you want. Like, guys, shoot us both a follow. You know
100%.
what I mean? Let's get it.
All right, bro.
Hell yeah. All right,
Good
then, brother.
100%.